Okay, at the risk of sounding like an old boomer gamer, even though I'm only 32, we need to talk about the newest first-person shooter to enter into beta, The Finals. Developed by the old team that used to be DICE, you know, the Battlefield developers, the good Battlefield games, I should say. The Finals are looking to take the first-person shooter genre by storm with their brand new arena shooter that has different classes, full destruction, and is aimed at the competitive shooter scene. Oh, and it's also free to play with your typical modern gaming battle pass and purchasable cosmetics. Oh god, we're going down this road again. No! Now, as someone who prefers a more grounded game like older Battlefield games, including Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3 and 4, I've had some pretty high expectations for this game. I mean, it's the guys who made the games that I loved, so of course I'm going to have some high expectations. This also extends to the other game that they are currently making, the co-op online shooter called Arc Raiders, but that's a different topic for a different time. Well, with the first of these two games finally here for the public to actually try out via this beta, which unfortunately has just ended, and hopefully they will have another one before its full release, I've got some thoughts. Some good, some not so good. If you had the chance to play the beta, please let us know your comments down below. And if you happen to enjoy this type of video, then a like would be greatly appreciated. But anyway, I'm going to talk about this game because, again, I've got some thoughts on it. All right, let's get started with the good stuff. So let's go ahead and start with what I actually enjoyed from this beta. First thing I have to gush over in an instant as an old Battlefield fan is the destruction. The fact you can almost level this entire arena just brought a tear to my eye the first time I booted up into a match. The feeling of picking up items to blow through walls, using an RPG to take down the defense of the enemy hiding in the building, and then steal their money never gets old, just never does. It also forced me to remember that no angle is safe no matter what, and to always check my surroundings, since I can't just simply rely on a wall of a house or a building to protect me. I don't know what all of the arenas / maps are going to look like for this game, but the fact that they can be basically leveled to the ground, to a certain extent at least, it brings a huge smile to my face, and I really hope that going forward with what other games they make, they can implement this in some way or form. And by the way, current DICE / Battlefield, if you happen to be watching this video or you happen to play this game that they're making right now, bring back destruction, you son of a... Now, another high point for me in this game was the gameplay. While I have a few little problems when it comes to damage and time to kill, which again, I'll talk about later when we get into that section of the video, simply firing my weapons brings me back to the good old days of Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3. Needing to burst fire and it also feeling responsive, my weapons having the appropriate amount of kick, but again, I have control over my weapons. It was amazing. I will say one thing that was a little weird to get used to, I know it's in some other more modern games, but not so much in the older games, is when you empty your clip, if you're still holding down the aim button, it actually won't exit and start the reload animation. So that definitely got me killed a couple of times. And again, I don't know if this is a bug or anything, but it's just something I noticed. Movement was also something that just simply felt really good, besides your typical lag spot and the occasional time I thought I hit a certain movement key, like my jump key for example, and then nothing happened or some latency occurred and then I eventually did it. Again, I know this is a beta, so I'm not going to dock it or anything here, but I did notice that. But overall, the movement was really good. Some players who even got to play the alpha and experience and then talk about it on forums and in videos have said that the beta has massively improved since the alpha. I myself didn't get a chance to play it, but overall, that's always a good thing to hear. Now, one of the biggest wins for me when it comes to this open beta, which honestly is a little sad for me to even be saying this just because of where the industry norm is now, is how this game handles XP. Playing the game, getting kills, playing the objective, all contributes to both a battle pass and a rank up level. Now, this is normal in most games, and I already see you going down in the comments to tell me that, but guess what? The rank level actually unlocks stuff for you, not just the battle pass. This is why I absolutely hate modern first-person shooters with their battle passes. You can only unlock stuff from it. There is nothing to earn from playing and simply ranking up. Looking at you, Halo Infinite, and other games that have done this. The Battle Pass also only rewards you items that you're most likely never going to use, and it's only every 4 to 5 levels if you're not paying for it. Not to mention, if you don't again have the paid battle pass, you sometimes even get lower XP towards those rank ups. We've all seen the videos and the news about how certain games will come out, and next thing you know, you'll notice that you're earning more XP if you have the battle pass, and that's not even including using any kind of XP rank ups or anything like that. Also, another thing that I love that they brought back from some of their older games that they've made in the past is when you use a weapon or a gadget, you actually level those up, quote unquote. It's not to make them stronger or anything, but it adds on things like attachments, silencer, scopes, etc. when it comes to your weapons. I wasn't able to unlock or level up things in terms of my gadgets for certain characters, but I can only imagine that it's actually gonna be stuff that you might want to switch in between from. And now to quickly stop you from going down into the comments and telling me that, Talon, this is already happening in some games. Yes, you are right to some extent. But guess what? This was stuff that was found in every game back in the good old days. And I'm sorry, I know gamers hate hearing the, back in my day, this game did this or this did this, so it is clearly better than today. But it is true to some extent when it comes to certain games, especially multiplayer games over the years, the last 10 years especially. The Finals has everything great that these games like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 had done in the past when it comes to unlocking stuff and making you feel that your time is well spent when playing. I don't have to only focus on the battle pass or any of those weird daily challenge things that are going on. Now, I'm sure the Finals could potentially have some of those daily challenges, and again, they do have a battle pass, I get that. But I never cared once about the battle pass during this entire open beta. I cared about seeing my rank level up, getting that in-game currency that I could see right there. And by the way, when I leveled up my rank, I got actual stuff I could put onto my weapons and characters and everything. And then using that in-game currency, I can go and buy new gadgets and new weapons that I actually want to use. We'll get into some of the stuff that I think needs to be fixed before the game releases in terms of some of those particular gadgets. But regardless, it felt like my time spent playing the game was actually worth it. It was. I can't remember the last time, and again, I haven't played every single multiplayer game, but I can't remember the last time I actually earned something in game and I didn't have to either get it from the battle pass or buy it. Modern gaming sometimes, I swear. And again, coming back to that in-game currency, getting to choose what I unlock the more I level up and get even more of this currency is exactly what I want. It doesn't force me to get a weapon that I don't want to use or anything like that. Now, to bridge the gap between what I thought was good in this beta and what is quote-unquote bad, the final good point that I want to talk about real quick is the game modes and matchmaking. Now, I'm not sure how the final game will matchmake players, but playing in both North American servers and the servers over here in Asia, since I live in Japan, the connection was very good. I didn't have any crazy lagging from other players or getting shot behind the walls or anything like that. If you played old Battlefield games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. One last thing to mention is the modes were actually very fun as well, and for the most part, the teams were pretty much evenly balanced. Obviously, everyone's still trying to learn the game mode, so sometimes you do get a teammate or two that are just like running around with their heads chopped off, and you're just like, team, help me over here. But overall, it was still really fun. However, and this is going to start my transition, by the way, into the stuff that I did not like about the beta, with this being a free-to-play game, but aimed at the competitive scene, a lot of players just simply went around shooting stuff and never actually played the objective. If you've ever heard the term PTFO, that means play the effing objective, people. Seriously, I love that this term is finally going to be coming back and everything, but I really hope that people who jump into this game and want to stick with it for a little bit actually learn to play the objective. God, it's like talking to those blueberries back in Battlefield days. Now, like I said, this is going to be my transfer into the things that I think need to either be changed, improved upon, fixed, that kind of stuff. And I'm going to start that off with the game modes. Now, again, I know this is a beta, and obviously not all the modes are included, but I really think they need a deathmatch style mode for people to learn the areas of the map. Even if they only allow for a certain section of the map for this particular mode, I know it's not the easiest thing to simply say, hey, we're just going to cut a chunk of this map here and make it into its own mode. That doesn't always work. I've harped on Battlefield for years on this kind of thing. But I think whether or not it's either ranked or unranked or you don't get any experience from it whatsoever, that's actually kind of fine with me. But just allow people to kind of learn how the game modes work or just simply how the maps themselves move and kind of the movement itself with the jump pads and the gadgets and everything. I absolutely think they need something like that. Again, even if you don't allow for experience to be earned here, or maybe you only get half experience or something like that, that's totally fine. But let players kind of get to know it, because the current tutorial, which I'll get into the tutorial stuff in a little bit, the current tutorial, it's not it. It really isn't. And I don't know if they've improved it in the actual release of the game, but as of what we saw in the beta, yeah, that's really not it right there. Also, they need a better way to kind of show players how to actually play these modes. If gamers can barely remember in Battlefield games how to capture the points to win in a game like Conquest, then there is no way that players coming into this game are going to be able to find the vaults, wait for the cube to spawn, take said cube to the deposit box, and finally wait for it to reward you with your money/score. It is not instant. You've got to wait around. I cannot tell you how many times my team would get the box to where we need to and say, okay, we are securing it, and my two teammates just leave and run off. And so it's like, guys, we need to protect this right here. What's going on? And again, I don't know if maybe a way to go around this, or maybe they even looked at this in their production and everything, is to make it so that if you deliver it, but then it gets stolen and you only get part of the process done, maybe give some of the score to the team that originally brought it. That way it kind of encourages people to at least get some amount of score. I don't know if they're trying to make these matches fast per se, but it definitely felt a little weird to do all of this stuff, like finding the vault, getting the cube to where it needs to be, holding on to it for more than half of the actual progress bar. And then unfortunately, teammates go off and do their own thing, you get killed and it gets captured, and they just get all the points. That feels a little off. Again, I'm not a huge competitive player, so I don't know if this is the way that it's done in other competitive games, but maybe that's just something they can potentially look at. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but it would be something to note. And another thing that could work if they have extra game modes in there that are not just only competitive is the fact that this game is free to play. That is something that I know that they're obviously making. But being a free-to-play game means that more players are going to try this out. So I think they need to do something to try and keep some of those players around / learn the mechanics to eventually get better. This will obviously keep their servers full of players and will allow them to keep that title of a competitive style game. For the most part, a lot of competitive games have some kind of mode where you can kind of just go around and learn the maps or just kind of goof off essentially, right? So I really think they need to have something like that. Again, I know it's a beta, but it would be nice to see something like this in the full release of the game, which is supposedly releasing this year. We'll just have to wait and see though. Now, the next part I need to talk about, while not particularly terrible or anything, is the improvements in the weapons, I would say. If you did not get a chance to play, then there are 3 different classes: light, medium, and heavy. Now, each class has their ups and downs like you'd expect. However, I noticed that the base class weapon for one of the classes is pretty much terrible right now. I'm of course talking about the AK-47 that is used by the medium build class. Again, I know that classes have different healths, perks, items, etc. But that starter weapon, and especially because it's on the medium class, which is what most players are going to pick the very first time they potentially come across your game and boot up the game, just felt so weak compared to the other two. First impressions are important, and that's why I'm simply saying that I think this in particularly needs some kind of buff or boost or something. Now, I also know that the medium class is kind of geared more towards a healer / support role, which I 100% get. If you've played any of the previous Battlefield games, good ones at least, then you know that that kind of resembles the support class, right? Not in terms of the weapons you have, but having a healing gadget and also having other things to kind of help support your team. So I 100% get that. I really do. Heck, you literally have the defibrillators from Battlefield. But I think they do need a little bit of help if that class is going to get used more, because I can easily see an instance where the more and more this game is played, even healing your teammates and everything just feels kind of underwhelming. And the fact that you can revive your own squad mates without that particular class, at least from what I could do, I don't know if it was a bug for me potentially, I think it's not, then it needs a little bit of work in terms of that particular class. I know the light class, while light on the health, they are fast, stealthy, and they kill you fast. I unloaded a full clip, keep in mind, a full clip from my AK-47 using the quote-unquote medium class, the basic class, and I still couldn't take people down. And don't give me that, well, your skill is obviously low. No, I was getting headshots because, as per usual, they brought over some stuff from their older games where they show you that if you get a headshot compared to a body shot and everything, which is awesome. And I'm just like, I just put in at least 5 headshots into you, and no, this is not across the map or anything, along with a good amount of body shots, and this is into another medium player. This is not into a heavy class or anything, and you're still alive somehow. Like, what the heck? Like, what's going on here? And I know it's not lag or anything, because it's not like, you know, they're peeking out from behind the building or anything like that. No, this is just simply 2 people, they run into each other, they fire, and somehow I unload my entire clip and I still lose the battle somehow. I'm not even sure. I even get the first shots off here. I don't know if the B-roll is showing it or anything, but that needs to get fixed in some form or fashion. Again, I'm not exactly sure 100% how they want to do it, but regardless, they definitely need to. Other than that, though, other things that I simply had problems with, I'm using air quotes here, by the way, is again, small things like balance with weapons, clipping through things sometimes when things got really crazy, which also then resulted in some frame drops, which again, according to those who played the alpha, has been improved a lot. And again, just restating what I stated before, having some kind of deathmatch mode or something else to really help us learn some of these game modes, especially when the more new players come in. Because you do run into the situation where as this game gets older and it establishes its base, if a new player comes in and there's not a good tutorial to kind of really show you how to do this, they're not going to play your game. I can tell you right now, as a Destiny player, you need to have something that can bring people in and really show them how to play this game. And Destiny doesn't even have a problem with keeping its PvP people around, even though they've basically ignored them at this point. I'm talking about their mainstay, their PvE style stuff. So the finals, you need to have something to really show people how to play this game and to also have more modes and everything as well. And that will keep more players around, I personally think. And my final note to add to that point, by the way, is there is nothing more frustrating than getting 2 teammates who don't know how to play and are just running around acting like it's team deathmatch when I've got to deal with 2 other teams over here who are somewhat coordinated, or maybe they're talking in the VoIP chat and everything like that, and I can't do anything regardless. So again, I'm not trying to blame new players and I don't want to be that person or anything, but you have to show people how to play certain modes and everything, and just simply having your announcer casually saying stuff in the background, that's not going to help. You got to show players how to do stuff, okay? Just saying. Other than that, though, simply to wrap everything up, I truly did enjoy my time with the game the more I played it. The start of it was a little rough, especially with some of the balance and a true tutorial needed there. But when things were pretty evenly matched and everyone was going for the objective and kind of knew what they were doing, it actually was an absolute blast. The smooth gunplay, the destruction of the buildings, moving from one area to another with very little hiccups, and just winning the game overall is pure fun. It is something that I could easily see myself, heck, even watching. I mean, they're going into the competitive scene. I ain't joining that competitive scene in terms of tournaments or anything, but I think it'd actually be pretty good and fun to watch. I've been looking for a good PvP multiplayer shooter that is not a BR and is not COD. If they can improve the stuff that I've talked about here and keep doing the things that I found pretty fun, and for the most part, I've seen a lot of people agree in terms of the fun stuff that I've mentioned beforehand, then I think the finals is going to be that game for me, or at least something that brings me back to more online multiplayer shooter games. Because man, it has been a long time and I'm desperate for a good one. But with all my thoughts and opinions out in the open now, what did you think about the open beta? Did you get a chance to play it? Did you play on PC, console? Did you have fun? Because in the end, you gotta have fun with these games, right? Let us know all your thoughts down below in the comments. We'll try to reply as many as we can as fast as we possibly can. Also, if you feel like supporting the channel even more, then a like on the video would be greatly appreciated, and a sub to the channel helps us out a ton. You know, that whole scary algorithm and all that stuff. With all that being said though, everyone, I've been Talon with Direct Gaming. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel, and I hope you have an amazing day. Until next time, everyone, Johnny.